If you are looking for landscape ideas for the front garden, and if you have a planter like I do or a large space, then you've come to the right place, because today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how these have done, give you a little review, and tell you exactly what I've planted to create this beautiful showcase of color. So stay tuned, here we go. So it's been almost 2 months since I gave an update video on these plants and how they've been doing. And now that we're in September and we're nearing the end of the summer and heading into the fall, I feel like it's a great time to talk about how they've done, what I've done, and how easy these were to maintain so that you could know that information just in case you wanted to plant these next year. So the first thing that we want to discuss is the foundation for this beautiful planter, and I really do love how boxwoods can create that framework for whatever's happening on the inside. I have a boxwood on this side, they're the Japanese variety, and I have a couple on this side, and then it really does frame the flowers in a way that really makes them pop. So that's what I have going on the ends, and this beautiful hedge of iceberg roses. The beginning of my year this year was kind of iffy. I had taken out the drip irrigation system, and I think I forgot to run one back to them, and they really suffered because they weren't getting enough moisture. And I noticed that, man, they're not looking like they normally are, because usually they're about up to here, especially the first bloom, but they just never really look like that. So I went back and I was like, you know what, I forgot to run a new drip line to them. So this last month I went through and cleaned out the back, added a new drip irrigation line to that so that they would water. So that's the gorgeous hedge of roses. But let's talk about the annuals that are in front. These are the two brand new varieties for this year. We have the absolutely stunning pink cashmere, and I'm sure those of you who've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube have seen plenty of videos on there. But I did want to stop to talk about it because what they are saying I have found to be true for me as well. They are extremely hardy. Their bloom heads are absolutely beautiful. They have never stopped blooming. I've come through one time, I believe, and kind of trimmed them just off to the side so that they don't take over the whole area, because they are more vigorous than the petunias, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But they've had no disease. They've bloomed continuously. That beautiful soft pink, I love that pastel, and it really looks nice against the hedge of roses there. The only thing that I've had to do with these, honestly, is give them a little bit of water soluble every 2 weeks or so, because they are in the ground, so that I haven't been fertilizing as much as the things that I have in my containers. So it's just been water soluble. And when I planted these, I put a little bit of Biotone starter fertilizer, and honestly, you guys, that is absolutely it. They have been magnificent this season. My wife and my kids have been telling me that this is one of their favorites that they've seen planted in here. I planted many varieties of verbena. This is up at the top of the list for sure. They kind of act like the whiteout variety, which is very vigorous and full of blooms and extremely profuse. These are exactly the same way, and they really have had no care other than letting them go and letting them be beautiful. So I mean, look at that bloom head, the two different colors there that you can see on the same bloom head. I really love that variation, how they turn to a light white or cream color. They open pink first, and then they gradually fade into that beautiful baby pink color. So that's the beautiful pink cashmere verbena from Proven Winners. I planted 5 in this planter, and look, it's just as full and profuse as it can be with only 5 plants. So the next amazing performing annual in this flower bed is the Saffron Finch. And I'm telling you guys, this is probably one of my favorite supertunias of all time. I just love the growth habit. I love how emerald green the leaves are. I love how disease resistant it seems to be. Some of the other supertunias that I planted before tend to die from the middle, and they get kind of scraggly this time of year now that we're in September, but that is not the case with these. They are full of blooms. The only thing that I have done to keep these healthy is to also give them water soluble when I'm feeding the verbena, but I've also sprayed them for budworms, which is really important in our area because we do get budworms and aphids, and that I find takes care of both of them beautifully. And so they're not even diseased at all. They're still blooming to their fullest potential. They're even spilling over the planter just a little bit, and I really like that because this is not a Vista variety, but they've kept up with the vigor of the Superbenas here, which are definitely much more vigorous. I planted Vista varieties in here along with the Superbena, and it just fills in beautifully and it's always spilling over. But this one seems to be a lot more in control. It's giving me that color that I love, that presence without being too overboard where I have to feel like I have to trim them back. And I love the contrast in color. When I originally planted these in here, man, these plants they seem to be really teeny tiny, but they have filled in their space. There's no space in between where I see any kind of soil or anything like that. So I would highly recommend them. I've grown many different varieties, like I said, and so if you try them, I'm sure you're going to find out that they're amazing. I grew them this year actually in the ground and in containers, and both of them did equally as well as each other. I just happen to like this application because of the way they're showcased in this flower bed, so highly recommended. You might want to try Saffron Finch next year. Okay, so the last thing that I added into this flower bed was this beautiful perennial, which is a petite pink Gaura. It's the Carolee variety from Proven Winners, and I just wanted to make sure that I had some height compared to how low this was going to be filling in. I knew that, and I wanted something to contrast the roses that were in here, and this did exactly what I wanted it to do. It's blowing in the wind. It's full of blooms right now, so I think I'm gonna have to remember that this year, because it really is nice to have something in the back here that is kind of a different texture than the solid presence of the blooms down in front, which gives you that layered look with that foundation of the evergreens, also the beautiful hedge of the roses, in addition to the flower power of the annuals down in front. This perennial is giving me something totally different, and it gives a different type of interest in that it's a lot more wispy, it's vibrant in color, and it's absolutely beautiful to look at. So that petite pink Carolee Gaura from Proven Winners. There are two on both sides of my hedge of roses, and I think I do that again for sure. I'm thinking about putting Angelonia in next year because I'm already thinking ahead, but I think, I don't know, this is so beautiful. I might just have to whack this back to the bottom again. I think when it's all done and it's getting kind of, you know, tired and old, I'll whack it back all the way down since it is a perennial and just see if it comes back, because you know, things that come back in the garden are one less thing that we have to spend money on the next year, that we can look forward to, especially when they perform like this. So guys, I don't know, I think this is probably my favorite combination of flowers that I've done in this flower bed since I started filming or starting this YouTube channel, and I just really am happy with the way it looks. And it really was easy, honestly. Like I said before, just drip irrigation to keep it constantly moist. This is a west facing flower bed. I forgot to talk about that. So it does get a lot of the hot afternoon sun. It's in morning shade right now, but our sun in the afternoon gets really intense, and it tends to really love that. So it's really the perfect light conditions here, because it does get about 6 to 7 hours of sun every day on this side of the house, so it's perfect that way. So that's it for today's video. I really hope you've enjoyed hearing how these did for me, so that maybe you could apply them in your garden if you want to try these. I could not wait to get to the end of the season to show you how well these have done. And when you have this kind of show, how could I not share it with everybody so that maybe they could be inspired to do something similar in their yard maybe next season. So until next time, we really do appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now, everybody. So that's it for now, everybody. I'm so glad that you were able to see today's video. Millie, what are you doing? Do you like the flowers? Millie, you like the flowers? Millie likes the flowers too.